This is an update on GeneratorX. I want to do this to kind of keep everybody in the loop. As things get built, I don't want it to be a big surprise when I release it, and then everybody trying to figure out what's what with the new updates. So I'll go through. I've been working on Generator. This is what you have already. Anybody, the beta testers, this is the signal type. Now we've got two more types, one called indicator and another one called price. Okay, so I'll start with price because it's easy. So price is very simple. It's just the last price of the market. That's what it's referring to. And then you select whether you want it to be greater than or less than. And color shouldn't be in there, but I'll change that. So we'll say greater than. And then you select the indicator. So we're going to say it's got to be one on the chart. This list shows all the indicators. But we'll just say, well, Riptide X moving average 1. So in this instance, you can see that this condition is true when price is greater than Riptide X moving average 1. So the moving average 1 is, I don't know if I can even find it on here. I don't know which one it is on the chart. But anyways, in the menu, moving average 1. So it's set to a 20 period. Right? So I don't know what color it is. Is it blue? Moving average 1. Yeah, blue. So I guess it's going to be this blue line here. I've got the charts all kind of not very clean. But so anyways, that's what that's for. You could say less than. You know, you could say when price is less than moving average 1. And then you can add a condition. Right? And we'll say, okay, we'll say it's a short setup. So less than, another less than, and we're going to say moving average 2. Okay, so when price is less than Riptide's moving average 1, and when price is less than Riptide moving average 2, then this condition becomes true. And, you know, you combine it with other things, and that's what helps print the master signal. But this is true when these conditions are met. And you can see over here, we got the logic pretty good for the master signal 1. You wouldn't do it like this. The guys who use it would know. You want to start off with your signal first, right? So you really want to start off with your final thing. Like that's what you're trading. You're trading the TS buy signal if it's a long, maybe. That's what I would do. So you start there because that's your final condition. And then I only want to trade this when I have other things. And this condition type should be a combo box like this. I don't have it coded in yet. So it should say indicator. So it should say buy signal and indicator, and then it'll give you the indicator settings. So you can kind of see where that's going. Okay, so that was the price one. This is just quick. I'm not releasing anything yet. This is just like a little update. I still got to put more code in there, more logic. Okay, so we looked at price, and it's pretty simple, right? The color shouldn't be there, but less than, greater than. So basically, more or less, you're going to be doing moving averages or super trend or lightning trend or any lines on here if you have a support, like even this low ray, you know, it's any plot on the chart. That's basically what you're doing. Price is either above it or below it. So simple. Now indicator. So this is going to read all sorts of things. This is more for the oscillators on the window. So indicator, I'm gonna see I have stochastics down here. So I'm going to start with that. And stochastics has two lines on it. It has what's called a D line and a K line. So normally I look at the D line. So in this case, the D line is, what color is it? They call it Dodger blue. I'm just going to change it to straight up blue. Okay. So, okay, there's the D line. It's blue, and I know it's blue. And what are the values on the side? Okay, the values go from, let's go down. Basically, it goes from, what is it? Will it go below 0? No. So 0 is the minimum, then it goes, and then it goes to 100. That's how this plots. So it just tells you momentum, right? Okay, so how do I code this into generator? So like I said, I'm going to be looking at the D line and I know it's blue. So here we go. Indicator. I have that selected as indicator. Indicator name. So the name is stochastics. So I'm going to look on this list, stochastics. And I know it's the D line. And I'll just stop here for a second and I'll show you what everything is based off of. So you guys know like the chart objects are based off the objects list. You're all familiar, the guys who are beta testing, you know that like, okay, this is all the chart objects and this is what it's all based off of. Now this part of generator, it's all based off of what's called the data box, kind of, more or less. So you show the data box. Okay, so anything that I can see in this data box, anything that you can see as the user, can be used in generator. Okay, so I selected stochastics. So you'll see it in here. You have to. And if an indicator doesn't print in this box, it may not be able to be coded by generator. So we might have to modify it. So right here, stochastics. And the way I've coded it is it always has a dot. And the dot is what it is what's in that section. So supreme stochastics, it would be dot D1 or dot MFI1. So in this case, stochastics dot D. Okay, stochastics dot D. So I know this is what I'm looking at. Now I got to select the type. Do I want it to be greater than or less than a certain number? So we're going to say this is for long. So I want it to be greater than, what's a good momentum thing? I mean, if stochastics is above, we'll say 70 or, well, yeah, 70. Good enough. Okay. So this condition becomes true when stochastics is above 70. So here's the 76. So right now, when the D line, right, this blue D line is above 70, that's when it becomes true. Okay? And then, you know what I mean, greater than, this would be like for your longs. Actually, this would be for anything because it's momentum. There's some oscillators that go into the negative, like the momentum at the top, it would be different. But in general, like, you know, this would be just a positive value. You'd probably use the same kind of condition for your shorts and your longs. So very simply, indicator, how do you choose the indicator from the list? Where do you find it? You find it in the data box, show data box, and everything you need to see is here. For this one, let's say I was here, I would know, okay, it's Riptide X dot MA1 or dot MA2. You would know that. And it's all here. Lightning trend, those are these other ones. Okay? So, I mean, that should be simple. And then you can do, I have this one down here with the supreme stochastics, and it has stochastics in it. These lines here, there's 4 of them. So then you would just set up 4 conditions. It would be indicator, right? And then it would be supreme stochastics D1. So that's the first stochastics line. And then you would say, you know, above 70. Or you could say, if you want to do a reversal, you could say, I want it to be less than 20 within the last 3 bars, say. So in this instance, it would mean that that D line was below 20 within the last 3 bars, and now it could be above 20, but you know it had slammed down really low, and then you guys know my setup, so I would take this bullish shift. Why? Because everything is at the bottom. Money flow is at the bottom. Stochastics are at the bottom. And I want to see it curl up, right? So I want to know, hey, within the last couple of bars, was it below? Was it really oversold before I got my signal? And then I would do that 4 times, one for each of the D1, D2, D3 lines, and D4 from the Riptide, or from Supreme stochastics D1, D2, D3, D4. I would do basically the same thing for all of them. Or maybe I would do time. Depends. Or since D1 is faster than D4, I might say, okay, well, D1, you know, I need it below within the last, like, 5 bars because it's going to catch up quickly. But then if I select D4, which is the slower one, I might say, okay, well, that has to be basically, you know, within the last 2 bars. It has to be still sold off when I get this up signal. So that's kind of how you would do that. And like I said, I'm just kind of showing you guys what's going on with it so you can wrap your head around it. And I'll do one last thing here. So some indicators are color based, right? We'll take this ETM Stealth Max, for example. So it has 3 colors: long color lime, short color red, neutral color orange. So what do we do with this information? Well, here's what we do. So we're in indicator, and I'll select ETM. It's not in here, is it? Okay, I can't do that example because I don't have it coded. See how it shows up in the menu, but it doesn't show enough. So I have to modify that to show up. So we're just going to go to. I'll show you this one here. So see this line? That's called the lightning trend. It's basically like a super trend with momentum built in, and it changes color. When it's down or flat, it turns orange, and when it's positive, it turns green. So it has 2 different colors to it, right? And it's part of the riptide. So it's not showing up in that box, but it shows up here. So, like I said, it's not done yet. So here's what we would do. Okay, lightning trend 1. So this is going to be the fast. I got 3 of them on there. This will be the fast one. Whichever one that is, doesn't matter. It's just an example, but we'll say, okay, I think this one's the fast. Super trend, if I can click on it. Alright, ain't going to let me click on it. Anyways, I can do enough just to show the example of what's going on here. So, we're going to choose Riptide X, Lightning Trend 1, which is going to be this line here. This little choppy orange and green line. I want it to be, it's not going to be a greater than, it's not going to be a less than, it's going to be a color. Okay. And what's the color? Well, let's say I'm doing a long trade. So I want it to be green. But I have to see exactly what, there's different types of greens. So Lightning Trend 1, Lightning Trend 1, okay. Bullish color is lime. The actual name is lime. So I'm going to have to go in here. And I'll select the color that it is, which is lime. Well, where is it? Lime green, just lime. Yeah, okay, there's a difference between lime and lime green, which is kind of funny. And then I'll just do it like that. So very simply, this condition is true when Lightning Trend 1 is the color lime. If it changes to orange, this no longer becomes true, and it makes your whole master signal become false, and it won't print. So in this case, so let's say I had I had this signal in here, TS buy label, and I had this condition: Lightning Trend 1 needs to be green, color lime. It wouldn't print a master signal here. Why? Because Lightning Trend 1 is orange. They're stacked here, but it's orange. Wouldn't print. Would it print here? Right here. No, it's still orange. It shows orange more than green, so I don't know if I'll even find one, but we can do a continuation. Let's say I'm just getting in on continuations. That's my entry label, or maybe I have both. Maybe I have shift and that. Who knows? But we'll say here, just for the example. Okay, so this is what I want to get in on, but I only want to get in when Lightning Trend is lime color. So would it work? Yes, because here's the signal. Here's Lightning Trend 1, which I can't click on. Here's Lightning Trend 1. It was green when this signal printed. So true on the Lightning Trend, true on the signal. It would print the master signal. And then, obviously, for things like ETM Stealth Max, it has its own color, so it's going to be the same idea here, right? So you would choose, once I get it coded right, you would choose lime. So you would say, hey, if you're doing your long condition, color lime. So it has to be lime for your long. So say you want to get it on the continuations. Stealth Max would have to be lime color for it to print a master signal. Same thing with the shorts. What's your color? So red. So the short color is red, so I would put in red into the menu. I would change that to red. And then, you know, when this would have to be red for this condition to be true. Okay. So that's basically what I've added so far, just to update you guys. And then you could start making master exit signals, right? You could say, oh, okay, well, when I get an MFI, so say you're short, when I get an MFI high and ETM stealth max is red, you get them both at the same time, print a master signal, and then you could use that master signal as your exit signal on AutoXBot. Or you could do an OR conditions. You could say, if I get an MFI, okay, if you're in a short, if I get an MFI high, or ETM stealth max turns to orange, let's say, because that's usually the transition. If it turns to orange, either or, I want out of the trade. So in this case, you know, it was orange, maybe you wouldn't have got in. But you can combine those, and then you can start making custom exit signals too, based on a bunch of indicators. Say you wanted to exit, okay, say you get in a long. You say, hey, when the stochastics D line gets above 80, or I get an MFI low, get me out of the trade. Okay, because, you know, once it gets above 80, eventually it doesn't stay there. The momentum will come down. So then you could say, okay, or, you know, stochastics D line 1 above 80, or MFI low, get me out of the trade. That would be your master signal for your exits on AutoXBot. That's just an example of a way you can use it. Same with momentum. It shows up in the box, right? So Momo meter. Let's see if it shows up here at the moment. Momo meter. There you go. So you could say color, because it changes color based on if it's above or below. And it has a value. So you could say, hey, I want to get out of a trade when Momo meter is greater than, we'll say, like 80. Because again, same thing. If, you know, once momentum gets up above 80, it doesn't stay there long, and eventually it's going to come back down. So you could say, hey, I got in down here. If I get above 80 with the momentum, I want out. I mean, that's good enough for me. So you could say, hey, when Momo meter gets greater than 80, print a master signal. And that master signal could be your exit for AutoXBot. You know. Or you could say, I want to see momentum shifting. So you could say, okay, Momo meter was greater than 40, within 3 bars, back, or, and then you could, okay, so you would keep that condition, then you would add another one, but I can't because it doesn't give me the option to add here yet. I got to put that in. So this would be 1. This would say, okay, I want momentum below 40 within the last 3 bars, and I want momentum to be above 50 in the last 2 bars. That would say, okay, well, 3 bars ago it was here below 40. We'll just try to get a good example here. Whatever. It's going to be hard, but we'll say 3 bars ago it was below 40. 2 bars ago it was greater than 50. And then maybe 1 bar ago it was greater than 60. So that's how you would code, and you would put three conditions. This would be one would be a condition, another condition, another condition, 3 conditions, and then that would be how you could code a momentum shift. So if anybody ever looks for momentum starting to shift, how it's declining, if you look on the chart, you see the candles we've hit a bottom, and then we get the bullish shift label. But you can see how the momentum is changing, is shifting as we lead into that signal. So that's something some people would watch for any strategy maybe. And you could code that in by using 3 conditions, saying, okay, well, I want momentum to be, you know, far down 4 bars ago, and then 2 bars ago, I don't want it to be as low, and then basically 1 bar ago or so, I want it to be higher. So that's, you're kind of coding it to look for this transition, this shift in momentum. So that's another, like, kind of higher level way to to code things in. And I'm going to stop there because I got some other work to do. Got to go fix a truck. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys this update, give you an idea of like what's going on, give you guys time to kind of study this and kind of wrap your head around like how exactly it's going to work when we come to adding indicators into everything. So yeah, I hope that was a half decent video. Like I said, it's not done yet. I've just kind of started to code this part, but I just wanted to show you. I got far enough along where I can show you what it's all going to be about. Now I just have to get it working. So if anybody has any suggestions or anything or any questions, let me know. Otherwise, happy trading.